In the far corner of the galaxy, deep inside the control room of the Xerath Empire's flagship, the mood was calm. Bright blue lights blinked softly, and officers stood silently at their stations. Space outside the wide windows looked peaceful. Stars glittered like cold diamonds in the dark. Commander Varel, tall and sharp-eyed, stood at the center of the room. He had served the Empire for 200 years. Nothing surprised him anymore. Until today, a young officer with green skin and nervous. Hans looked up from his console. "Commander," he said, his voice shaking slightly, "we are detecting ships, large ones, many of them right outside the edge of Sector 9. Vrel turned slowly. "Which fleet?" The officer shook his head. "Unknown, sir. The design, it's not in any of our records." Now the room changed. Officers rushed to check their screens. Alerts started flashing red. The quiet was gone. Vrel walked forward and stared at the hologram map. Dozens, no hundreds of ships had appeared out of nowhere. Silent, powerful, all moving together in perfect formation. "Zoom in," Varel ordered. The image grew clearer. These ships were not made by the Xerath Empire. They didn't belong to the Krells or the Venari or any of the 27 known spacefaring civilizations. One officer spoke softly, as if afraid to say the words. "They look old, ancient, but advanced." Another whispered, "Those engines, I've never seen anything like that." Suddenly, a deep voice echoed across the control room. "This is Terran Fleet Command. Stand aside." Silence fell. Every officer turned to look at each other. Terran? Commander Varel's heart skipped a beat. Did they say Terran? No one answered. The name hadn't been heard in 3 centuries. The Terran species known as humans were thought to be extinct. Long ago, the galaxy had seen humans rise. They were fast learners, emotional, unpredictable. Some said they were dangerous, others said they were brilliant. But then, they vanished. One day, humans stopped answering. No ships, no signals, no trace. Many believed they destroyed themselves. Others believed the galaxy's empires had wiped them out in secret. Now they were back, and with them, a fleet larger than anything seen before. Vrel felt cold. How did they come back? He asked, mostly to himself. And why now? The young officer stared at the screen. Sir, these ships are moving toward us, slowly, deliberately, but their weapons are online. Vrel clenched his fist. Do they mean war, or are they testing us? No one answered. The room was frozen with fear. The alien empire had seen wars, fought battles across the stars, but this was different. This was unknown. Flashback. 300 years ago, in a different part of space, a historical report played in the minds of every high-ranking officer. 300 years ago, the Terran species challenged the Council of Stars. They advanced too fast. They asked too many questions. They refused to bow. And so, the empires acted. Together, they attacked Earth. The human homeworld was bombed. Human colonies were burned. The final report said the human threat is eliminated. But that report was wrong. Back to present, more ships appeared on the screen. Sleek, black, glowing blue engines shaped like swords and arrows. They have stealth. Tech far beyond ours, an officer said. They bypassed all early detection. Vrel turned. Open the channel. Ask them their purpose. The communication officer tried. Nothing. They are not answering, sir. Then suddenly, one of the Terran ships moved forward. Alone. It approached slowly, like a lion walking toward prey, not in a rush, but with purpose. A new message came, through, clear and calm. This is a message to the Xerath Empire. We come in peace, but we are not here to kneel. Gasps filled the room. Peace, but not submissive. It was a warning. In the shadows, meanwhile, on a hidden moon near the edge of Sector 9, an old alien scientist watched the events unfold. He had studied humans his whole life. They were never gone, he said quietly. They just waited. They watched, and now they've returned. He turned to his assistant. Mark my words, the galaxy will never be the same. The Zareth command ship hovered in place. Outside its large windows, the Terran fleet remained steady, silent, calm, but powerful. Inside, no one spoke. Commander Virel's mind was racing. Humans. The name echoed in his head like an old ghost. They were supposed to be gone, destroyed, lost in time. But now, the evidence floated right in front of him. Hundreds of ships, each larger and more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen. "Give me everything we have on the humans," Virel barked. "Historical records, war files, all of it." The data appeared on the central screen, old reports, damaged video logs, and one file marked classified. He opened it, a shaky video played. An alien captain, terrified and bleeding, spoke into the camera. "Do not trust them. The humans evolve fast. They learn even faster. We thought we won. But I saw their escape ships. They're not dead, just hidden, then static. That video was 297 years old." Virel stared at the screen. "Why was this file locked?" The officer beside him answered. "The Empire didn't want panic. They said hiding the truth would bring peace. Instead," Virel muttered, "we walked blindly into this day." The secret survivors across the galaxy, in a hidden observatory floating above a gas giant, an old alien historian named Soravan watched the footage from the Zareth ship. He had studied the humans for decades, long after others stopped caring. "I always said they would return," he whispered. His young assistant, curious and nervous, asked, "But how did they survive?" "Earth was destroyed," Soravan nodded. "Yes, Earth burned. But humans are not tied to land, they are tied to hope." He showed a map. During the final war, humans sent out silent ships, no signals, no lights, just passengers, scientists, children, AI. They disappeared beyond the known zones. The assistant stared in shock. "And now they've come back?" Soravan smiled. "No, they've come to finish what they started. A new kind of human back in Sector 9, the Terran." Fleet began to move, slowly, still without firing, but the Zareth ships didn't move. They were frozen. In fear, suddenly a new message appeared, a human figure, Admiral Zara Holt, mid-40s, calm eyes, no emotion on her face. She spoke clearly. "To all alien governments monitoring this broadcast, we are the Terran people. We do not seek war, but we will not be hunted again. You forced us to disappear. You burned our cities, but in silence we built, in shadows we prepared. Now we return, not as victims, but as guardians." The message ended. Commander Virel sat down slowly. His chest felt heavy. These were not the humans he remembered from war footage. These were something else, something better, something stronger. Quiet shock across the stars. In the days that followed, the message was replayed across hundreds of alien systems. People stared at their screens in silence. Some were shocked, some were scared, but a few smiled. There were those who remembered. Humans not as threats, but as allies, dreamers, builders. One Venari scholar whispered, "They survived, and they forgave." But others didn't believe it. An angry Krell general shouted on the news, "This is a trick. They want to control us. We must strike first." Across the galaxy, opinions were split, but one truth united them all. Humanity was back, and this time, the stars would never ignore them again. End of Part 2. The Zareth fleet remained in place. The humans had not fired a single shot. But still, the galaxy shook, because now they understood. The Terrans didn't want revenge. They wanted respect, and they had returned not with words, but with a fleet strong enough to make the empires listen. The Terran fleet drifted like shadows across the stars. Not a single ship had fired a weapon. Not a single soldier had stepped out, but still, no one moved against them. Inside the Zareth command ship, Commander Varel stood still, eyes locked on the screen. Human ships were approaching slowly, smooth, silent, and completely calm. "They're not attacking," said the comms officer. "They're waiting." "For what?" Varel asked. "An invitation." No one knew. A new signal blinked on the main console. "Commander," another officer said, "they are sending coordinates in for a meeting." Everyone turned. The message said, "One representative, neutral ground, no weapons, no lies." The chosen location was an abandoned moon base, a place left empty for decades after a failed mining project. It was silent, empty, and cold, perfect for a private conversation. The Zareth Empire sent Ambassador Nurek, an old diplomat known for calm thinking and deep knowledge. The humans sent no name, no face, until the moment the door opened, and then she walked in, a tall human woman in black uniform, sharp eyes, clean boots, a calm smile. She introduced herself simply, "I am Zara Holt, Admiral of the Terran Fleet." Nurek was shocked. Not because she was hostile, but because she was not. No threats, no anger, just a calm, careful presence. Like someone who already knew she was in control. A conversation that changed everything. "You came with warships," Nurek said, "and now you say you want peace." Zara nodded. "Peace, but not weakness." "Why return now?" he asked. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she answered, "We didn't come to rule. We came to warn. A storm is coming. One bigger than your empires. Bigger than us." Nurek frowned. "A storm?" Zara continued. "Something is moving beyond the edge of known space. Something ancient, something cold. We saw signs during our deep space travels. We came back not just for revenge. We came back to unite the galaxy, or what's left of it." Nurek felt cold. Meanwhile, back on the Zareth flagship, many officers were not so calm. One young commander whispered to his team, "It's a trick. They're lying. Humans always lie." Another officer added, "They vanished once. They can vanish again." But Commander Varel remained quiet. He was watching, studying. The humans had tech the Empire could not understand. Their ships bent radar. Their engines ran silent. Their weapons remained unseen, and yet they didn't attack. If they wanted to destroy us, Varel thought, they already could have. For the first time in his life, he was unsure, and that scared him more than any enemy, a test of trust. Suddenly, during the moon base meeting, alarms blared on both sides. Pirate ships, mercenaries, had intercepted the meeting signal. They wanted to capture both ambassadors and sell them. 3. Pirate cruisers fired missiles at the moon base. Zareth ships scrambled to respond, but before they could move, a human ship dropped from orbit, silent, fast, precise. In 10 seconds, it disabled all 3 pirate cruisers without killing anyone. No explosion, just pure technical superiority. Inside the moon base, Nurek stared at Admiral Zara. "You knew they were coming." Zara gave a small smile. "We always plan ahead. Trust built slowly. After the pirate attack, something changed." Nurek no longer looked at Zara like a threat. He looked at her like an answer, and Commander Varel, watching from his flagship, finally gave an order. "Stand down. No one fires, no sudden moves. Let's see how deep this human plan goes." For the first time in 300 years, a human and alien walked out of the same room, side by side. After the peaceful meeting on the moon base, hope began to spread across the stars. The Terrans didn't fire, they didn't threaten, they didn't demand surrender, they only spoke of unity and a warning. But not everyone believed them. In the shadows of the Empire, fear still ruled. High Chancellor Draxon, leader of the old military council, watched the human message in silence. His cold red eyes narrowed. "They claim, they bring peace, but they came with warships." He turned to his generals. "They fooled us once. Not again. We strike first. The secret order, without alerting the Council, Chancellor Draxon ordered 3 elite fleets to move. Their target, a human communication outpost in neutral space. The plan was simple, a quick attack to send a message. The galaxy belongs to the Empire, not the forgotten race. Fleet Admiral Zern led the assault. As he prepared, he laughed. Let's see how peaceful these Terrans really are. The attack begins. The human outpost was quiet. It wasn't a military base, just a single station orbiting a dead planet, used for relaying signals. Then the Empire's ships dropped from warp, fast and deadly. Within seconds, they launched a full missile barrage. The station's shields flickered. Explosions lit the sky. The Terrans on board sent one emergency signal. "We are under attack. Non-combat personnel aboard. Request immediate response." They didn't ask for war. They asked for help. The silence before the storm, 10 seconds passed, then 20. The Empire's fleet hovered, ready to finish the job. But then the stars blinked. One by one, Terran ships dropped out of warp. Big ones, fast ones, silent. Once no music, no threats, just movement. Within 30 seconds, over 50 human warships surrounded the Empire's fleet in a perfect circle. Admiral Zern gave the order. "Hold position." His voice shook. "These ships, they're not normal. Humanity responds." Voice came through all channels. It was Admiral Zara Holt. "Your attack has been recorded. No warning was given. No mercy was shown. Now, you will see what mercy looks like." Before the Empire ships could even fire, every single weapon system on their vessels shut down, hacked, silently, remotely. Engines froze, shields fell, communications were jammed. It was over in less than a minute. One by one, the Empire ships were towed by Terran drones and dropped into orbit around the moon base, like broken toys. Galaxy reacts. The footage went viral. Across alien worlds, beings watch the replay again and again. 3 full fleets defeated without a shot. A peaceful station, defended with absolute power, and one message replayed in every language. "We do not seek war, but we will never allow harm to those under our protection." Some cheered, some trembled. But all agreed on one thing: the humans were not bluffing. Chancellor Draxon's shame in the Empire's throne hall. Chancellor Draxon sat in silence. The military council glared at him. "You acted without permission," one said. "You started a war that didn't happen," said another. But no one moved to arrest him, because now they feared what the humans might do next. Commander Virel's choice. Meanwhile, Commander Virel watched it all from his flagship. He had once believed the humans were dangerous. Now, he believed something else. "They're not just stronger," he said quietly. "They're better." He opened a private message channel, typed one sentence: "I wish to speak with Admiral Zara Holt, alone." Inside a quiet chamber aboard the Terran flagship, the lights were dim. Commander Vrel stood alone. Moments later, a door opened and Admiral Zara Holt entered. No guards, no weapons, just her calm presence. Vrel had seen many leaders in his lifetime, proud emperors, ruthless generals, but none like her. He bowed slightly. "Thank you for agreeing to speak." Zara nodded. "We respect those who ask questions, not those who fire first." Virel sat across from her. "I've seen the power of your fleet, the silence of your tech, the way you shut down 3 of our best fleets without violence." He leaned forward. "But I still don't understand what happened to humanity. Where did you go?" The vanishing of Earth. Zara took a slow breath. 300 years ago we were hunted," she began. "Feared, surrounded, outnumbered. The great empires believed we were rising too fast, that we would not obey, so they united and came for us. Earth burned, our colonies were erased, billions lost." Vrel lowered his eyes. He had read the reports, but hearing it now made it feel real. "But humans don't break," Zara continued. "We adapt. When they destroyed our worlds, we launched the Eclipse program. Silent ships, no signals, no trace. Thousands of humans scattered into deep space, into the unknown. Beyond the stars, Viral's voice cracked with curiosity. And what did you find out there? Zara looked him in the eye. We found darkness, but not the kind made by war. We found a warning, something ancient, something buried, far beyond the edge of known space. Vrel frowned. What kind of warning? Zara leaned in. Ruins, alien structures the size of planets, dead civilizations, entire galaxies, silent. She paused. They weren't killed by war. They were consumed. The hidden enemy Zara stood and tapped a panel. A hologram filled the room, a spiral galaxy full of stars. Then one by one the lights went out. Entire star systems gone. We believe something is moving, she said. Something alive, something that consumes energy, thought, even memory. And it's heading this way. Vrel stared at the darkened galaxy. This is why you came back? Zara nodded. Yes, not to fight you, not to take revenge, but to warn you, prepare you. She stepped closer. Because if we stay divided, we all fall. Together, we might survive. The weight of guilt. Vrel sat back overwhelmed. He had lived his life believing the Empire was wise, powerful, right. Now, he saw the truth. His empire had nearly wiped out the only race that might have saved them. I was told you were dangerous, he said softly. We are, Zara replied without hesitation, but only to those who try to destroy us. Meanwhile, on the Empire's homeworld, news of the meeting leaked. The public was shaken. Some refused to believe it. Lies, human tricks, shouted a politician on broadcast. They want to weaken our fleets, divide our worlds. But others were starting to listen. One scientist posted a file recovered from deep archives, ancient warnings, star systems lost without reason. The humans are not the threat, the scientist said. They're the signal, the alarm clock, and we've just hit snooze too many times. A choice to make back aboard the Terran flagship. The meeting was ending. Zara turned to Viral. We will not force you to join us. That's not our way, but soon the stars will go dark, and when that time comes, you will remember who tried to bring light. Vrel stood silent. He had a decision to make, not just for himself, but for his people. The stars looked quiet, but the galaxy was restless. After the human admiral revealed the truth, the coming darkness, the ancient enemy, some listened, others didn't. In the outer colonies of the Zareth Empire, fear turned into silence. Fleets stopped moving. Commanders hesitated before giving orders. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's rulers didn't know what to do, but not everyone believed the warning. High Chancellor Draxon stood before the Empire's military council. His voice was sharp, angry. This is exactly what the humans want. They scare us with stories, then offer peace while their ships surround our sectors. It's a trap. We cannot kneel. A few generals nodded, but others sat in silence. They had seen what the Terran fleet could do, disable entire warships without firing a single shot, capture without killing, win without blood. One general finally stood. If this is a trap, it is the strangest one I've seen. They've taken nothing, asked for nothing. We are the ones who attacked them first, and they still speak of unity. That silence was heavy. No decision was made that day. Far from the chambers of power, the galaxy's smaller nations had already begun to respond. A planet of scholars called for immediate alliance. A peaceful trading union offered its support. Even pirate factions, once scattered and violent, sent quiet signals to the Terran fleet asking for negotiations. And still, the humans didn't demand. They didn't force, they just waited. Inside the Terran flagship, Admiral Zara Holt watched the stars from the observation deck. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Marek, stood beside her. "They're taking their time," Marek said softly. "They're afraid." Zara replied. Not of us, not really. They're afraid of being wrong. Marek nodded. And if they choose wrong? Zara's eyes stayed on the stars. Then they won't live long enough to regret it. At that same moment, on a warship near the border of Sector 14, an alien admiral made his own decision. His name was Velkor, and he had never trusted humans. He watched the recent events, the speeches, the broadcasts, and saw only one thing: weakness behind pretty words. To him, humans were clever, manipulators, dangerous, adaptable, and too quiet to trust. And so, without orders, he began to move his fleet toward a human listening station built near a nebula. His plan was simple: a short, clean strike. No civilians, just a message. He would prove that humanity could still bleed. But the Terrans were. Watching, even before Velkor's ships crossed the boundary line, 3 Terran cruisers blinked into position. They didn't block his path, they didn't speak, they simply drifted, matching his fleet's every move, like shadows. Velkor sneered. Are they trying to scare me? He gave the order. Charge weapons, lock targets, show strength, the human. Ships didn't respond, not until one of Velkor's gunners made a mistake. An energy beam, accidental or not, fired too close to a Terran hull, and then the shadows moved. In seconds, Velkor's lead ship lost power. Engines cut, lights flickered. One by one his fleet was shut down, not destroyed but taken apart like toys. His command bridge went dark. A screen lit up. Zara's face appeared. Her voice was calm, firm, and final. You were warned. We will not repeat ourselves. And then the screen went black. His fleet was towed to a nearby neutral zone and left unharmed, but exposed. Humiliated, powerless. Across the galaxy, that footage spread faster than any before. Alien leaders who, once doubted, the Terrans now sat in long meetings. Whispers became debates, debates became decisions. The humans had shown strength, but never used it for conquest. They had every reason for revenge, but chose restraint. Now, the choice was clear. Resist and fall alone, or stand together. Back aboard the Terran ship, Zara received hundreds of messages in one day. Agreements, promises, calls for alliance. She turned to Marek. It's starting, she said. Finally, he replied, and somewhere in the cold dark. Beyond known space, something ancient, something hungry, kept moving closer. It had no voice, no warning, only hunger. But now, the galaxy was beginning to prepare, and it was humanity, once forgotten, once broken, leading the way. The stars began to shift. Across the galaxy, change had started, not with violence, but with quiet agreements, hidden signals and uneasy alliances. Where once alien empires sat proud and divided, now they held meetings through secured channels. Species that had fought for centuries began to exchange messages instead of missiles. The fear of Terran strength had become something else, respect, and something even more rare in the galaxy: hope. Inside the Terran flagship, Admiral Zara Holt stood before a display showing the growing list of allied systems. Blue lights filled the screen, dozens of planets, hundreds of ships now answering the call, but her eyes weren't on the map. They were on the edge of the display, where no blue lights shone, only darkness, deep space, the unknown. Lieutenant Marek entered the room, holding a new report. They found another dead system, he said softly. No life signs, no energy, just dust. Zara didn't speak. It was the third report that week. Entire stars dimming, planets stripped of power. Signs of civilizations, gone, as if erased. One of the new allies, a telepathic species from the Erix belt, had sent a warning that chilled every translator. We felt something in the silence, something not made of flesh or metal. It moves, like thought, but feeds like fire. They didn't know what it was, but they knew it was getting closer. Zara turned to Marek. Send the signal. Full alert. Across the new Terran Alliance, a quiet pulse moved through space, calling ships to action. Fleets began to shift. Cargo routes were cleared. Civilian stations were moved to safety zones. Old enemies now stood side by side, not out of trust, not out of friendship, but because something worse was coming, and they would either stand together or fall one by one. On the outer edge of known space, a group of scout ships floated near a dead planet. They carried the markings of 6 different races, once hostile, now unified. They were watching, waiting. Then the sky rippled, not with light, not with color, but with absence, like something large, cold and invisible had moved through the void itself. One of the scouts sent a signal. Object detected, no form, no heat, moving fast. And then silence, one by one. The scouts disappeared. Not exploded, not destroyed, just erased. Back on the Terran flagship, alarms began to flash. Zara looked at the new reading on her screen. "It's here," she whispered. The enemy didn't announce itself. It didn't speak. It didn't send threats or demands. It just kept coming. The first wave hit a mining station near a red dwarf star. Within seconds, every light vanished. Even the emergency signals were gone. All that remained was the metal shell of the station, floating empty. The second wave approached a defensive line of warships. The ships fired everything, lasers, plasma, quantum warheads. Nothing worked. The darkness swallowed the energy, absorbed it like it was feeding, and still, no form, just shadows and silence. But this time, humanity was ready. Zara stood at the center of the bridge, her voice calm and clear. "Begin Operation Dawnfire." Across the Alliance, hidden Terran satellites came online. Deep-core weapons, unknown to the rest of the galaxy, activated. AI-controlled carriers began to form a perimeter, not to destroy the enemy, but to trap it. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy fought as one. Zareth ships shielded smaller worlds. Venari tech experts hacked energy pathways to confuse the enemy. Human drones darted into the dark, carrying light-based warheads designed to blind and delay. And somewhere in the middle of it all, a voice echoed through the dark. "This is Earth. We're still here." The enemy didn't stop, but it slowed, and the galaxy realized something important. They couldn't win today, but they could survive, and that was enough. As the battle continued in the far edge of space, Zara stared into the stars, not with fear, but with fire, because humanity had already faced extinction, and they didn't come back to run. They came back to lead, to protect, to stand in the dark with the light behind them, and they would not fall again.